This is a topic of conversation that I want to dig a little deeper into because I made some comments about taunting and unsportsmanlike behavior and things of that nature after the Lunar Owls Rose game in Unrivaled on Friday night. And I posted about it, and people lost their minds. Well, the Angel Reese crew lost their minds. And I talked about it from a different perspective because most people don't understand what the hell I'm talking about because the thing that goes between their ears, their brains, don't seem to function in a normal fashion the way an adult's brain should operate. So I'm going to explain to you why there's a problem with what's going on in the behavior of professional athletes and taunting and mocking of the other team, not trash talking. Trash talk is done inside the lines. Mocking and taunting after a game is not the same thing as trash talk pregame or during the game. It's completely separate. So don't sit here and call me the no fun police because I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. So the problem that comes from the behavior of adults and professionals is that younger athletes emulate what older people do. It's just the way of the world. So while you may think it's funny, it's competition, all that stuff. First of all that extracurricular shit off the court is not competition. That's just running your fucking mouth. Bluntly, it's running your mouth. What's on the court's on the court. What's off the court's off the court. And at the end of the day, the behavior on the court by professional athletes is largely emulated by younger people today. If you haven't watched a high school boys AAU game or any of these camps where these kids act like complete buffoons, and I don't mean like 7-year-olds, I mean 16-year-olds act like complete buffoons, you should go watch some travel team basketball and see the behavior and how they carry themselves on the court. They act like clowns. But I'm going to show you a few examples of what clown-like behavior that's emulated from professionals does to younger people because you don't believe it happens. I've seen it happen from covering high school sports for 20 years. I've seen it going to watch regular games. And at the end of the day, the punishment for a pro is not the punishment for a 15-year-old. What turns into a one-game suspension for a pro or a two-game suspension for a pro can potentially end a high school student's career playing that sport in that school or even in that state. So, welcome back to everyone to another edition of Rudy's Rant, powered by Coming Out the Podcast, where we talk facts for feelings. I am your host, Rudy Rodriguez Shomont, aka Rudy the Hammer. Apparently, Captain No Fun, because that's what people seem to think I am. I don't like to have fun. No, I love having fun. You know how I have fun? I win. I've always said I'm not one. I'm not a participant. I've never been a participant. I'm a competitor. And there's when I listen to coaches today for kids, and they're just go and have fun. No, I don't coach to have fun. I don't coach for fun. I coach to help young people get better. I coached even when high school. I coached to help young people get better. If they didn't get better, I failed. And the way you have the most fun is by winning. Winning makes everything so much more fun. I don't care how much fun you think you're having when you're getting your tail kicked and you're going 0 and 10. There's nothing fun about going 0 and 10. When you're 10 and 0, that's a hell of a lot of fun, in my opinion, at the very least. So you have that situation where Angel Reese is mocking the Lunar Owls. You have it with Brittany Sykes mocking the Lunar Owls. And as you see, Skylar Diggins-Smith had her response to this, and she took it personally. You could bet your butt that Skylar Diggins-Smith took it personally. And had they done those things in front of Skylar Diggins-Smith's face, it might not have been so pleasant. It might have gotten nasty. Because what do they have to lose? They're playing pro sports. Are they going to suspend in unrivaled players? Like, there's no CBA. The game's over. They're not going to fine them, suspend them. This whole league is about putting money in these women's pockets. But you're not going to disrespect me. And that's what this stuff all comes down to. You can beat me, you can celebrate, you can do all that stuff, but you're not going to disrespect me. And Skylar Diggins-Smith was disrespected. I'm going to show you a few instances, and I'm going to show you the first one, which will blow your mind. I am telling you, it's going to blow your mind when you see this. These are cheerleaders with what looks to be halftime of a basketball game doing a cheer off. Cheerleaders, high school cheerleaders. You tell me what you think happened to these young women for this. Reese. What do you think of that one? What do you think? That's a high school cheerleading cheer off during the halftime of a basketball game. Looks like the halftime of a basketball game because no one would just show up to watch two teams cheerlead against each other in a high school gym unless it's a competition. And that doesn't look like a cheerleading competition. That looks like two cheerleading squads at a basketball game, probably halftime, and it went too far. The one team on the right, the orange, pushed their way all the way past half court, got within nose distance of these other girls. One of the girls got upset, didn't like it too much, got in it. And next thing you know, she's in a pile with three or four around her. And now there's a brawl. There's a brawl. Those girls went at it. There was a beeline. One girl flew an orange across the court. A beeline. Now, I want to ask you this. What do you think happened to these girls? I don't know. I can promise you what probably happened is that a lot of these girls were kicked off the cheerleading team. That they would not be on the cheerleading team the next day. A lot of these girls, heck, they might disband the cheerleading team for that year. Some of them probably got suspended. It wouldn't shock me if some of them got expelled. People do get expelled from school. I am telling you right now, people do get expelled from school today. Still to this day, they get expelled from school. But suspended, absolutely. I'm sure there are some girls there that face some suspensions. How would you like it if that was your child? Kids don't think. High school kids don't think before they act. They just act. And a lot of the stuff they see older people doing. I'm going to show you another one. Another one. This one's pretty bad because the guy who's interviewed is basically telling you exactly what I said. And this is this it right here? No, that is one. Here is the here it is right here. This was a month ago. This was in Northern California a month ago. I mean, this isn't like out of the ordinary, people. This is a month ago. You can listen to the report.
Brawl breaking out at a high school basketball game. Forest Hill versus Futures High School, causing the game to be suspended last night.
Let's dive into this. It happened at Forest Hill High School. Your reporter, Tori Apodaca, has been looking into this at Forest Hill, learning more about the fight and what's next for the two teams.
That fight breaking out at the basketball game has really been the talk of this small mountain town community, with many wanting to know what really happened. Video showing the chaos on the court during a high school basketball game.
Tensions were kind of getting high during the game, and they weren't calling fouls too much, and so it started getting more and more physical.
Forest Hill alumni and owner of the local market, Reggie Wharton, witnessed the altercation, saying it started with a Forest Hill player getting fouled by a Futures High player when he went up for a layup. Forest Hill was down 25-14 second quarter.
And right after he got fouled, the other team's player came up to him and sized him up.
Then he says another player from Futures came over.
One of the teammates to the player getting sized up, he ran in there and shoved them both to the ground.
Players, coaches, referees, parents, staff.
I think I only saw one punch thrown.
All stormed the court, but how everything played out is still being investigated.
People see, professionals get in fights and stuff, and they only get suspended for a game or two. Whereas I've been hearing that some of these players might not get to play for the rest of the season.
In a statement sent to families, the principal of Forest Hill High confirmed there was an altercation at the game, saying, quote, "We are working collaboratively with the Placer County Sheriff's Office to investigate the situation. Please know our number one priority is always the safety of students, student athletes, staff, fans, and a greater community during athletic events." Futures High School sent a similar statement to its families.
When someone's bumping your teammate with their chest, it's tough not to step in and help out your teammate.
CIF hasn't told us what will happen to anyone involved, but there will likely be more clarity in the coming days. The Placer County Sheriff's Office confirmed with me that its school resource officer was not there when the fight broke out, but the Sheriff's Office is now investigating everything that happened.
You heard the guy. The guy basically voiced, yeah, they watch pros. They seem to maybe get suspended for a game or two, but there's already talk that these kids are going to miss. Some of these kids will miss the rest of the season. That's a pretty hefty penalty. Imagine if you're a senior. Imagine if you're a senior. Forget about if you're playing college ball or anything. If you're just your last year and you had your season end 2 months early because of a fight, I can promise you that if you got suspended for the rest of the season, you probably got suspended from school for a little bit too. I want to read to you what the rules are. I'm going to see if I can find them. The rules are for the FHHSAA in Florida, what happens in situations like this. So you get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. So in the state of Florida, this is the rule under unsportsmanlike act by a student athlete. Student athletes who commit unsportsmanlike acts before, during, or after a contest will be subject to the following suspension levels as determined by the designee of the executive director. Level 1 suspension: a student athlete who commits an unsportsmanlike act or a flagrant foul for which he or she is ejected from a contest will be ineligible to compete for the remainder of that contest and for a minimum of the next contest at the same level of participation in the sport of the suspension and in any interscholastic athletic contest in any sport at any level during the period of suspension. If the unsportsmanlike act or flagrant foul occurs in the last contest of the season, the student will be ineligible for the same period of time as stated above the next sport in which the student participates. So if you get ejected in basketball and you want to play baseball, you're going to miss your first baseball game. Level 2 suspension: a student athlete who receives a second level 1 suspension or commits an unsportsmanlike act as defined by bylaw 7.2.1 will be ineligible to compete at a minimum in the next interscholastic athletic contest at any level for a period of up to a maximum of the following: baseball, basketball, soccer, softball, volleyball, or water polo, 12 games. So if you do this once, it's guaranteed a game. If you do it twice, you might miss 12 games. And I don't know what they're deeming this. In football, it's 5 games. Wrestling, 10 matches, 10 meets. Level 3, a student athlete who receives a second level 2 suspension commits an egregious unsportsmanlike act. Or it's not a level 2 suspension and you have to have done a level 2 suspension. It's or commits an egregious unsportsmanlike act as defined in the sole direct discretion of the executive director will be ineligible to compete in the next interscholastic activity contest in any sport for a period of up to 1 year. I think fighting probably will fall into that egregious, unsportsmanlike act. Level 4, a student athlete who receives 3 or more level 2 suspensions or commits an egregious, unsportsmanlike act. Again, or, so that egregious, unsportsmanlike act, what? Shove a referee? Fight? I would venture to guess that an egregious, unsportsmanlike act would absolutely be fighting. Will be ineligible to compete in any interscholastic athletic contest in any sport for the duration of the student athlete's high school career. So understand, this is just on the court. This is just on the field. This is not inclusive of what could happen to you at your school. This is not inclusive of potentially being expelled from school. But yet, these pro athletes who just don't believe that they're role models do whatever they want. They don't care. They don't care what happens to your kid. And you're an adult sitting. A lot of these people were adults. You're taking the fun away. Really? I didn't know that fun meant mocking somebody. Do you mock the kid in the wheelchair? I mean, you might say it's a completely different comparison, but do you make fun of the kid in the wheelchair or the kid that has a disability? Is that fun too? I'm just asking the question. Do you do that? Do you make fun of the kid that has a disability? Like, adults don't. I would hope not. But kids do. Kids are assholes. Kids are already assholey as it is. So, and maybe you want to say that's a completely different comparison or whatever, but I disagree. I disagree. I think behavior is behavior. And at the end of the day, you are a representative of your sport, of your team, of yourself. And if you're going to sit here after a game and have this woe is me, oh, Angel Reese was in tears and how her life is so difficult, such a difficult life for Angel Reese. 22 years old and already multi-millionaire. She's living this difficult, horrible life. And everyone's looking up to her, and all she does is shit that makes her look bad. That doesn't literally do the things that she says that kids look up. So kids are looking up to you, and yet you still do immature, childlike things that those same kids are going to watch you do, and then they're going to go do it. And if they get in trouble, are you going to pay their situations, fix their situations? No, there's nothing you can do about it. They've already done it. They've already lost their season. They've already lost games. They might have lost their high school careers. Here's some more, because people said I used football as an example. Here are 3 separate fights. I showed you one already. 3 more fights this year in the last month or 2 around the country in basketball. Here is one right here. Here is one right here. And this one is very, very similar. End of the game situation.
Now to that basketball game from last night in South Bend.
We're talking about Riley and Adams High Schools. Riley ended up winning that game 70-51. Unfortunately, it's what happened after the game between students in the handshake line that has a lot of people talking and asking questions tonight. I talked to the principal at Adams, who told me this was a very bad situation, but it could have been worse.
It happened moments after the game ended. A post-buzzer brawl between basketball teams from Riley and Adams High Schools. It started here in the handshake line inside Adams' gym, usually a post-game pleasantry, but then it wasn't. You can hear the announcer urging fans to stay off the floor. Tonight, we're learning players from both schools, along with the coaches, athletic directors, and principals, all met back at Adams for a meeting less than a day after the fight happened.
Why is it so important for you to meet with both teams and Riley's principal less than a day after this happened?
We have to have a healing process of this. There was obviously an event that took place where sportsmanship was compromised. And in life, you're going to win a game, you're going to lose a game. You're going to have achievements, you're going to have setbacks. And we can't always control what happens to us, but we can always control how we react.
In the video, you can see several South Bend police officers, along with security officials and other adults, doing their best to break up the fighting. One man falling to the floor while trying to break things up.
What do you say to parents? What do you say to students?
Well, I say, first of all, thank you. Thank you for the student actions last night from the student bodies. Those students didn't run out on the floor.
The fans were not on the floor.
The students were not.
An investigation is still underway as questions over student consequences and concern over possible fallout loom tonight.
What's next for you and your students and your players?
Rebuild that respect level between teams. Sit down, watch the video, issue consequences, and move forward.
And again, individual consequences will be made with the individuals themselves. That is per IHSAA standard. Officials with the corporation say last night's incident was not about lack of security, didn't involve weapons, didn't involve fans, but this was all an issue of sportsmanship or lack thereof. In a statement to our team, school officials saying in part, students involved will
You got the idea, right? You got the idea there. Code of conduct. Students disciplinary. That happened in a handshake line, people. This is after the game. I keep like y'all think that shit's funny, man. Y'all think that stuff is amusing, it's fun, all that. This happened after the game. This isn't trash talk on a court. They're running their mouths after a game's over in a blowout, no less. Here's another one. This one's a year ago. Sorry, this one's a year ago.
Cell phone video shows tempers reach a boiling point Thursday as basketball players throw punches during the Edsel Ford and Woodhaven High School boys varsity basketball game in Dearborn. Referees, coaches, and other adults rush the court to break up the budding melee and try to calm things down. Edsel Ford's principal says Dearborn police are looking into whether to file disorderly conduct or assault charges. Another angle shows students leaving the stands and walk on the court to get a closer look before security intervened to keep people away. In an effort of transparency, Edsel Ford's principal said events got heated on the court and the scuffle happened at the end of the game. She continued in part, quote, "Our staff did an excellent job following our safety protocols while trying to make sure there were no injuries. A few spectators from the visiting team ran onto the court. Our staff were able to stop them from engaging." Despite allegations of a gun brought by someone associated with the visiting team, no weapon was found.
Wow.
Dearborn police helped de-escalate the situation and everyone was able to leave without any issues. Edsel Ford's principal added, quote, "We understand that sometimes individuals get heated and this can lead to physical altercations. We ask you speak to your children about what to do if situations arise. Our staff is always concerned for the safety of our students." At Edsel Ford Friday, some students told us they heard about the fight but didn't feel comfortable talking about it on camera. We reached out to the Woodhaven School District and are awaiting a response.
Think about that right there. First of all, a weapon to the school, potentially. They didn't find anything, thankfully. Thankfully, no one gets seriously injured or worse. And what you have is at the end of a game again. End of a game. We had about 4 minutes left, so it wasn't really at the end, but again, close to the end of the game. That could be more of a case of trash talk, comparatively. On-court trash talk. People can't take it. Again, these are kids who don't think with their brains because their brains aren't fully developed. They do things without thinking. They watch adults do these things on the court and have no repercussions. Nothing. These kids can lose their ability to play. They can end up in jail, expelled. You get expelled from high school, you have problems. Here's another one. Here's the last one, actually. This one's the last one I want to show you.
Tonight, administrators at a St. Louis high school say they're sick of the violence. A brawl broke out at a basketball tournament at Cardinal Ritter on Martin Luther King Day, and a large number of police officers
At a
were involved.
religious school.
5 on your side's Holden Kerwicki joins us in the news.
It's everywhere, man.
What happened?
Everywhere.
Well, Mike, Cardinal Ritter basketball coach Terrell Ramey, whose Ramey basketball group sponsored the MLK Invitational Tournament, said in 20 years of hosting events, he's never seen anything like what happened Monday night, which prompted roughly half of the on-duty officers in the city to respond.
As this video from past seasons shows, basketball games at Cardinal Ritter are typically fun for the whole family. However, as Ramey basketball hosted the MLK Invitational Tournament at the school, SLMPD spokesman Mitch McCoy says a parent tipped off police and school administrators that trouble was brewing.
Around 6:30 Monday night, we ended up getting a call regarding a fight.
McCoy says nearly half the officers on duty in the city quickly responded to the school.
When officers arrived, we quickly found a large group fighting. As we were breaking that fight up, additional groups started fighting. There was an officer in need of aid call.
According to a statement released by Cardinal Ritter administrators, that's when a number of students stepped up to de-escalate the situation.
We have conflict resolution issues amongst our community, and that's nothing unique to St. Louis. We see it all across the country where people don't know how to solve problems civilly, and so they resort to a hands-on approach, or in other worse cases, using guns.
Thankfully, no injuries were reported during the incident.
Officers remained there through the end of the tournament just to make sure that there were.
Wow, there's no video of this. I didn't even watch the video.
In a separate statement, Coach Terrell Ramey said he is taking immediate and comprehensive steps to ensure this never happens again.
All right. Again, there wasn't even a video of this one. I thought that'd be a video. There is not. I didn't even look at it. But you see that that's also less than a few months. It's a couple months ago. It's a Catholic school. Like people can't control themselves. And I'm telling you right now, if you don't think that the things that these professional athletes do don't have an impact on these kids, you're out of your mind. And you parents talk to your kids. Well, the parents are the ones saying that this stuff is what's fun. That's what was all over my board. This is what's fun. Shit talking is what's fun. Mocking and taunting is what's fun. Not hooping, not balling. The extracurricular is what makes it fun. If you say so. The problem is that most people can't talk trash or do whatever without coming to blows. I grew up on 90s ball where people talk crap, but fights broke out in the 80s in the NBA all the time. Fights broke out in the NBA in the 90s a lot. Fights don't break out very much because most of these guys are softer than butter right now. But at the end of the day, you have a player sitting here who's mocks and taunts every time she can. And then she wonders why she says she's the villain. She wants to be the villain and then cries about being the villain. I don't want to hear it. You guys want to defend stupid behavior? Defend stupid behavior, but your stupid behavior that you defend directly impacts your kids. It absolutely impacts your kids, and you're teaching your kids to be shitheads. If that's how you roll, then that's how you roll. I don't roll that way. I'm not a killjoy. I'm not a curmudgeon. Well, maybe I'm a curmudgeon at times, but I'm not a curmudgeon generally. I'm not a no fun guy. I love to have fun. I love having fun. Winning is what I find fun. And I'm cool with all the trash talk during a game. But when you're getting into fights after a game because you can't control your mouth, you can't control your actions, you have to mock somebody and taunt somebody, bro, like your younger people see this, man. Your younger people see this and they react differently than adults. However, I would bet you any amount of money that if Angel Reese did that shit in the face of Skylar Diggins-Smith or Courtney Williams, hands would have been thrown. But they did it where they weren't there. And I have a feeling that March 7th game with the Rosen Lunar Annals will be probably the most physical, game there is. You're gonna see women put on their backs in that game. Angel Reese best be prepared to get put on her ass. Shakira Austin, Nafisa Collar won't do it. Shakira Austin is gonna put Angel Reese on her butt. I'll mark it down. Skylar Diggins might do it. Mark it down. They're not playing that game, man. But I'm telling you right now, y'all think it's all funny and ha-ha, kiki-ing and all that stuff. I just showed you a cheerleader fight and 3 basketball fights, 2 in the last month or 2, and 1 a year ago. And all towards the end of a game, handshake line. And I've seen them personally happen. Logo stomping, brawl breaks out, player suspended from school. Senior. You now got to explain that to a college that you're trying to go to, that you got suspended from school because they're going to find out. And if you don't disclose it, you might not get in. They might find out and then throw you out immediately. You got to understand that disclosure is great. Like, you have to disclose that now. That's your student record. These pro athletes don't care about your student record. But the parents find this shit cool. They think it's all gravy. They think it's all fun. They think it's what sports are about. And I vehemently disagree with the stuff I've heard. Even my guy Ben Daniel and I've heard Mick say. I think Mick said it. Oh, by all means, I'm all good with it. Well, I'm not all good with it. Because I know what happens because of it. I'm all good with the on the court trash talk. I'm not. I find that off the court shit to be pathetic. At the end of a game, you look weak when you do that. You're weak because you wouldn't do it during the game. You didn't do it before the game. You saved it for the end of the game. And on top of that, you have no creativity because you don't even have your own freaking celebration. But there's nothing to be surprised about. What are your thoughts on what the taunting and mocking have done to sports? And don't let me show you some football videos because I can show you a lot of football videos where the sportsmanship in high school football is completely down the toilet based on crap you see professional football players doing. Planting flags middle of the field. That's complete, like Michigan doing that at Ohio. So I mean, does it get you riled up? Sure. Is it sportsmanlike? Not at all. Win the game. Celebrate. Get off the field. That's it. It's over with. Those are my thoughts. You can leave your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, hit that bell. I appreciate y'all. This is Rudy's Rant. Come on now.